Yo, what's up, guys, and welcome to the Movie Newbie. My name's Jibril Sahimi, and I am the newbie.
Oliver Mangum, writer, producer, fellow film lover, occasionally capable of insight.
Raphael Lucas, thespian, cinephile, and human golden retriever.
So yeah, enjoy the show. Yo, what's up, and welcome back to the Movie Newbie. I'm your host, Jibril Sahimi, and as usual, I am joined by the two guys, Raf and Ollie. I wanted to say it in Cantonese, but I don't remember it anymore, and I don't want to butcher the accent. So how about you guys say hello?
You can
Ollie?
whisper it somewhere in Angkor Wat.
I'm not going to do it.
perhaps.
I'm not going to do it. I'm scared.
I know Ni Hao Ma, but I don't know. That's Mandarin, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's Mandarin.
That's
Yeah.
Mandarin.
I know a little bit of Hokkien, but
Yeah.
I don't think I'll trot it out
Yeah,
now.
I only know the swear words.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. Well, you've heard them. That's Raf and Ollie. But today we have our second guest for this
Oh,
theme.
yeah, we're popping guests left and right in this season.
All
day, son.
All day.
We got Ahmad. Fuck. I
can't-
can never get the last name. It's El.
No,
No, it's not El.
Aboushagor.
it's not an L. It's an
Abu
eb.
Sha-
It's
oh.
eb. It's an eb.
Oh, it's an Eb. Yeah, sorry. My Khalijiness is getting fucked. Aboushagor, right?
Aboushagor.
Aboushagor.
Yeah.
Damn, dude, I'm gonna have such a bad time in
Aboushagor.
Morocco. I'm going in a few days and I'm not gonna understand anything.
This is your time to practice now.
Man, I did this one, sorry, just a little side tangent.
Mm.
I did this, assessment for a job, and all the Arabic was from, Algeria and Morocco and
Ah, but
Tunisia.
this is Libyan, bro.
And
This is my dad's side.
shit, yeah,
Oh,
well,
that's my
I mean,
dad's
Northern
side.
African Arabic, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I
Completely,
really bad at.
completely
Really,
different.
really bad at.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways, Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum,
Wa
habibi.
alaikum assalam, habibi.
Shall we do this in Arabic?
Yeah, sorry guys.
And I
You're
would-
not included
and I would
anymore.
love to
Yeah.
listen to this. I find Arabic so beautiful.
Raf said the word Arabic. Raf asked me if it was
Shukran.
okay to say inshallah the other day.
Inshallah, yeah.
God willing, man.
It's all good. It means God willing.
Yeah.
There's no
go.
gatekeeping.
Or
in
like
this.
salam alaikum. Sometimes I'm like, can I say that when I go
it
to
means
my
peace,
you know,
peace be upon
yeah,
you.
There we go.
Yeah. So it's like
But,
saying shalom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a lovely saying.
It's actually the exact same meaning.
There we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
Semitic languages, baby.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. All day. All day.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
Ahmed. You and I
thank
go. You and I go a little back.
We do.
We met in
do.
university.
What's
We
the
did.
connection?
We
Oh yeah,
did.
university.
Yeah, university. Bonded over some dope beats and rhymes.
Yeah, I think we specifically bonded over Mad Lim and MF
Yeah.
Doom
Yeah.
in the queue outside of a crappy nightclub in
Yeah.
York.
Yeah.
And we've been pretty tight ever since. We used to live together.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring Ahmed on the show because, he's got great taste in films. He's got great taste in music. He's a good chat. We went through
Great taste, period.
Yeah, we went through lockdown together, so we had a lot of time just to chat and watch movies together.
We did.
So I thought he'd be a perfect fit for the Movie Newbie. So welcome, Ahmed.
Hi.
Thank you.
Pleasure is all mine, guys. Thank you. Excited to be here.
Ooh, and you
Right.
recently got your membership, right? For
Picture House Central, yeah.
Picture House
yeah.
Central.
Oh,
so
that's a big
I
decision.
did.
yeah,
Just
I
when
did.
my everyman is about to expire.
there we go. Yeah.
But now you're Soho House. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Hey man, there's a very nice members bar in that picture house.
Oh, yeah?
Like it's a terrace. It's like almost like Parisian cafe culture terrace.
yeah.
Ooh.
It was so nice. I was there at the weekend, and even though the weather wasn't that great, like it was really nice.
Mm.
Okay, so Picture House, if you're listening, we're open for sponsorship deals.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want us to
100%.
do
We're
a
doing free
podcast
promo
on-
right here.
We'll do
can-
it on your terrace. If you want to do the Movie Newbie there, we'll do it on your terrace.
We can tweet.
Okay, so how about we get to the movie, the second movie of my bad romance theme. And, it's become a running joke about how much I talk about the X movie is my favorite movie.
Yeah.
of all time.
But here
But
we
you
go.
guys,
Here it is.
seriously,
Here
this
it
is one of my favorite
Yeah.
films of all time.
I've heard that one before.
No, we're talking about In the Mood for Love, which is the 2000 masterpiece from Wong, one of the most celebrated figures from the Hong Kong New Wave. It stars Tony Leung, Maggie Cheung, and a bunch of other people, but it's mainly those two because this is really a film that is just laser focused on this couple. I'll just give my first thoughts quickly. I've watched this film about maybe a dozen times in my life. I think I first visited it as a teenager. It's one of those films that it gets mentioned in a lot of lists from like what are the best films from this decade or from this century.
I think it's like the second best film 21st century.
Yeah,
or
it like
something like
Sight
that.
and Sound just released every decade they release a list of the best films of all time that have been compiled from lists given by other filmmakers.
Right.
And In the Mood for Love always creeps higher and higher up on that list because it's just so respected, not just by general audiences, but by other cinephiles and filmmakers. And, it's pretty understandable why. It's one of the most beautiful films I think that's ever been committed to film. And yeah, my fondness for this movie has only grown over time. I don't know how to start talking about it. For me, it's kind of like a miracle of a film. It's actually relatively short, yet it feels epic in terms of what it communicates. Like, it's one of those films where the silences are almost more meaningful than what people actually say. And I think a lot of that goes down to the two cast members, the two stars, Tony Leung and Maggie Cheung. I think the way they circle one another in this story, I think is so beautiful. Their body language with each other. I love the music in this film. I love the musical motifs. I love the way that it's shot, the way that it often feels, particularly in the boarding house, like we're almost like we're voyeurs. We're peering in on this couple who often feel surveyed themselves. But I love the mise en scene. I love the how it recreates 1960s British Hong Kong.
Singapore references.
Yeah, I love so much about this movie. I think it's just absolutely gorgeous. I want to hand over to Ahmed to quickly give his thoughts, but there's a little bit of a reason why you chose. You said you wanted to be on this film, right?
Yeah, no, I did. I mean, Hong Kong cinema, like, it was just Hong Kong in general. So, I mean, Hong Kong cinema, my first experiences of it were probably when I was like 5 years old. And we went back when I lived in London for the first time. And I lived in Harrow, and up the road I had a Bahraini friend, actually, of all people.
Gang.
Who basically was like super into Bruce Lee and like martial arts films. So like that was like kind of my first experience of like Hong Kong cinema. And then I actually had the opportunity to visit Hong Kong studying abroad during university, and I just loved the vibe. Like I loved the blend of East and West. It's just like a kinetic, frantic energy about the place. You had a sense of tradition in the same breath, because whether you're in downtown Hong Kong, like at the core of the like kind of urban maelstrom, but then you can go out into the new territories, and it's like the Great Buddha and greenery everywhere. So it's like, I think the terrain and the culture mixed together, just like I just really found it an enjoyable experience. So as a consequence, when I was suggested the series of 3 films that we were reviewing for this episode, I was like, this one, I find it intriguing. Like, it's like I said, it's the cultural aspect, the story itself, which is quite interesting in the way that the narrative is structured, the way that and if I'm being completely honest, I didn't quite know how critically acclaimed it was when I signed on to do it as well. So it wasn't like oh my god, this is like this is won loads of gongs and awards, and I'm like I really want to say my piece on something super popular. It was just like, okay, this seems quite intriguing. I think I'll learn something from watching it as well.
Because you hadn't seen it before,
I hadn't seen it before. No. And yeah, I was like, let's do it.
And so what did you think of the film now that you've seen it?
What did I think? I think it's a really interesting film. I think it's one of those films which is quite like multi-layered. So it's one that you kind of probably discover a bit more of every time you watch it.
Absolutely.
I think it's very dreamlike. I think that's one of the biggest parts. I think the choice of like fade outs. There's from a structural perspective, there's a lot of like fading out the scenes from scene to scene. Almost the way that it focuses pretty much on the 2 kind of principal characters, and even though the relationships around them, or their relationships with their significant others, are significant in the way that the story is told, we never see their faces. So it adds to this kind of almost like disembodied feeling where they're almost in their own world, and
Absolutely.
like trying to make sense of what they have around them, and yet sometimes just missing it, which I think is a general theme over the course of the film, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's really interesting from a narrative perspective, the way the story is told. I think again, it's one of those films that you will gain more from as you watch it over and over again. It's quite deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I highly recommend rewatching it because you will get more and more
For sure.
information. You will get more revelations towards it, which is what I love about this film and why I think, like you said, it's a masterpiece by Wong Kar-wai, who just knows exactly what he's doing. And it's not just a masterpiece in terms of filmmaking, but it's a masterpiece in terms of gaze work. This is the most beautiful gaze work portrayed in film, I think, ever.
And what is gaze work for those?
Well, gaze work is basically acting through the eyes, and it's all telling the story through what a character reveals through their eyes. And this, Maggie Cheung, Tony Leung, they are the master at doing that. They don't tell a story with speaking; they tell it with their eyes. And it's those slight glances, those fleeting moments, those subtle pauses, those nuanced moments that really make this film utterly beautiful. And that's kind of, it gives it this Eastern meditative concept or experience that you can just watch and also feel. And I remember reading the story of Inarritu, and his wife, watching this film and not fully understanding it at first. And then they said that they had walked home after watching this film from the cinema, and both of them broke down and cried. And I was like, damn, I feel like that's how because my parents first watched this film and they told me to watch it because I think they had a moment themselves. It's my mom's favorite film.
Oh, really?
And, yes. And she said, Raph, if you ever want to feel love, watch this film. And I feel like it does touch upon, especially maybe that certain demographic, maybe my parents, that certain age, because it hits such a visceral kind of connection maybe
but
to
also
them.
like maybe quite a difficult film to watch if you've been married for decades.
Yeah.
Because this film isn't about a couple that successfully built a relationship. It's a film about mischances, or fleeting encounters, or the regret of the actions not taken,
and also resistance. There's also so much resistance in this film because they don't want to fall.
or the expectations you have from society.
That's a big one. Yeah.
But anyways, Jabril, for me, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. So I'm kind of along the same lines as Ahmed, but I kind of wish I didn't know anything about the film before watching it, because then I was like, shit, I'm gonna miss out like on so many things. Like I was like, oh, this is the watch and I need to review it. And I also had trouble just trying to find this movie. Like
it's quite elusive. It's quite
streaming
elusive
platforms.
Online, yeah.
Like even I tried to pirate, and like even then
what?
it was like super difficult.
Like sorry, FBI man. You didn't. No,
I'm just saying, like it's this movie was an enigma. So
I think he mispronounced Rent from the Library.
Yes. Well, no. Anyways, I wish I kind of didn't know that it was one of the best movies ever filmed. I kind of wish I didn't know that it went on to inspire.
Put on a pedestal for you.
Was it way too hyped up for you?
It went on to inspire like loads of other films, and like just the shots in this film have been recreated in pretty much every other movie after this. I think like there's just so many beautiful like camera movements from the perspective, like looking at characters from the back and them looking forward, or the lack of people's faces, like you were saying, you don't see their significant others or the wife, the cheating wife.
No, you never
see them. You just see the back. Yeah, so I did like that. Also, did everyone read the subtitles, or did anyone watch it with dub?
Oh, I didn't even know there was a dub version.
Subtitles.
Well, okay, so I watched subtitles, so that actually took me away from actually watching the film.
Right.
Because whenever anything happened, I was like, this is such a, like you said, such a dreamlike experience. I was like, did I miss something? Did I not read something correctly? I'm also dyslexic, so it's very hard for me to keep.
And I don't think this film spells out what happens.
There's no exposition.
No.
I think it was like the second or third.
You miss things. It's quite easy to miss.
Exactly. And I think to provide a little bit of context, the way they made this film was really interesting. Like, despite Raph, I think earlier said that every choice in this film, the director knew what he was doing. But he went on to this during the making of this film, he didn't have a script.
Yeah,
they improvised a lot of it. They shot for months and months, traveled
Yeah.
to different countries just to
Right.
shoot different parts of it,
Yeah.
and kind of discovered it a lot on set and in the editing
There
room.
is a vast improvisational kind of aspect to this film, but I think Wong Kar-wai as a filmmaker is a perfectionist.
Sure.
So there would be improvised moments, but I feel like they would be a detailed
Right.
of what to keep and what to let go.
But here's the thing. For example, the Angkor Wat scenes
Yeah.
towards the end
Oh.
kind of come out of nowhere. Like there is the motif that connects the two, which I mean, I'm sure we'll kind of discuss maybe later in the show. But like I said, the narrative's quite interesting in that respect. The story isn't always very linear, but then it snaps into place.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the plot, I made a decision halfway through the film to not give a shit about the plot and just take it in as a visual experience because I couldn't really. It was just too much going on, and I felt like there was a time constraint, and I just felt really stressed. And like you said, like there's so much to unpack from this film that you can't get it all from the first watch.
Yeah.
So, for me, the visual experience was absolutely breathtaking and probably one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. There's something about like I don't know, maybe it's like the filter or like the way the color grading was done or like how
The way it was lit.
or just the way it was lit or just like
It's like a sepia tinted haze.
it's
But then a lot of like reds as well. Like I love the
reds
color
and
motifs.
browns.
and
Yeah,
stuff.
the colors were just so incredible. The shots with that where they would like wait during there would be a rainstorm and right by the stairs.
And they would wait there.
They would wait there and just like that image is so beautiful and like
each shot of motherfucking Tony Leung smoking. Holy moly.
dude.
Can we talk a little bit about how handsome and cool Tony Leung is?
I mean,
Those eyes, man.
like every
eyes.
movie I watch him in, I'm like, dude, it's not fair, dude.
The sexiest man.
Get out of here,
And he just
bro.
makes me want to smoke. I'm like,
Oh my
damn,
God,
I want
yeah.
to smoke right
And
now.
I want to have wear some fitted 1960s
Yes.
suits.
Yeah.
This is like Mad Men in a way.
That's
you know?
literally what was going through my
Yeah.
brain. Like literally.
It's how he holds the cigarette
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
how
And
it
does it
like it looks like
so-
it tastes amazing.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just like, God damn, I want to have a puff.
Or even just him eating sticky rice. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean,
That was cool.
Maggie does the same thing. Picks up
Yes.
the pack of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And is just like,
yeah.
damn, you're smooth, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And her, I mean, moving on to her for a little bit, like the dresses she wears. Like, I'm not exactly a student of haute couture fashion or anything like that, but I'm like, those, I think they're called cheapaos.
Okay.
Or, they're stunning, those
They're
dresses.
beautiful.
And
46 dresses she goes through in this film.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
27.
No,
not 27.
not that kind. Yeah,
Wait.
another reference.
Oh,
But yes,
when are we doing that movie on the podcast?
the Katherine Heigl masterpiece? Yeah.
Okay, well, look, we can dig into it a lot.
Yeah.
What we liked and what we didn't like, perhaps, or what we might have found remote about this film.
Mhm.
But why don't we go into favorite scene? This might be another tricky one, actually. But Ahmed, would you grace us with your pick?
Well, this was quite interesting because there was a few that I was a bit like, this is interesting. I quite like the dinner in the restaurant scene where they're kind of tiptoeing around the fact
Oh, when they're
of-
trying to figure it out.
when they when they're like, when they both have the inkling of something on their mind, or maybe they already know the truth, but they're both dancing around it because they don't want to admit to either each other or themselves that what is happening is what is happening.
Yeah.
And I think there's a switch where they flick a switch where their pre-senses drop. And at that moment, you start to see the beginnings of a formation of some kind of connection between the two. Or like, a crack, like a chink in the armor, basically, that they've both got up, like against the world around them and against the hurt that they're, maybe in self-denial about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they go through the tie and the handbag. Oh, my wife's handbag and my husband's tie,
And the camera work. I think they showed us that scene when I was in film studies in high school.
So
because
specific.
That moment when he brings up the tie, or I think she brings up the tie, and it suddenly clicks that they both know that the other person knows. The camera suddenly goes behind the head of, I believe it's Tony Leung's character, and then whips forward. Which, and up until this point, it's mostly been slow motion shots or like really still compositions. But it just uses like a really I'd never seen that before, like moving from back to the profile of the head to sort of to note
like
that
a
like
like a
recognition.
45-degree.
Or no, it's more like
it's just a
it's
straight.
like a pan,
It's
almost
like a pan, yeah.
but it
But it's
whips
from the
from
back,
behind the head
yeah.
rather than in front.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of hard to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you'll recognize it when you see it again.
Yeah.
But
there's so many different camera techniques in that very scene, right? There's your classic over the shoulder. There's like a kind of wide shot, and then there's another pan shot that goes from Tony to Maggie really quick as well. There's some like I was gonna pick that one as well, but to create variety. And that I think this is just personal to me, but when he goes to Angkor Wat, so he goes to Siem Reap. Yeah,
Damn it.
That's because I've been to Siem Reap so many times. My family kind of like own a bit of a hotel.
You own Angkor Wat.
Yeah, we own Angkor Wat.
The Frenchman.
I thought we kicked you out of Vietnam.
It's not Vietnam, it's Cambodia.
Right. Yeah. Oops.
Wait, wasn't Apocalypse Now about your family?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Wait, the French were colonized Cambodia, no?
In Indochina,
Yeah.
Cambodia. Yeah, Cambodia's part of that. No, but as in like we go there quite regularly. So going to Angkor Wat and like seeing and just the way he films Angkor Wat, I was like, it just brought all sorts of emotions towards.
It's the scale. The scale is a very big part of it. Like, because I mean,
and with the music and the scale, and like it's such beautiful architecture, obviously, and it's not often. I mean, apart from what like Lara Croft 2001, the Angelina Jolie film, like do you see Angkor Wat being filmed? You know, So seeing that infrastructure, like that, like the historical structure, just like on screen is so like magnetic. Yeah. And then him whispering in the.
I think that's got to be. I mean, for me, that's one of the best endings to any film ever.
Yes.
That it's actually inspired. Talk about how it influenced other filmmakers. Has anyone seen Lost in Translation? The
Yes.
Sofia Coppola movie.
Yeah.
So she was in the end of that film. Bill Murray whispers into the ear of
a soft embrace
Scarlett
Scarlett Johansson's character, and she said that was a direct reference to In the Mood for Love, because she didn't know how to end her film or her script until she saw In the Mood for Love, and then that gave her the idea. But it's heartbreaking. It's tragic, but.
Yeah.
But it's also closure, isn't it? That's the thing. It's like, because I mean, otherwise, how would you end the film? Because in a sense, it's gone unrequited, but you can't just allow it to hang in the air. There is always
they kept missing each other.
Yeah, there's always some kind of resolution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Acceptance. Something like that.
You know what I thought was really interesting in that sequence, though, because I feel like a lot of this film, you get the sense that they feel like they're under surveillance a lot. And I described earlier how I think the camera work makes it feel like that we're voyeurs peering into their rooms while they're having these private moments, because we're often shooting from behind a door or through a window or around the corner of a wall. And I thought, you could make the argument that him whispering what cannot be said in public because of traditional values, whispering into that hole gives him that freedom to say what can't be said to anyone else. But then you have that shot of the monk who almost looks like he could be watching him.
It's kind
so
of
it feels like he was always being watched. And I don't know if that was the intention, but that's
it's
kind of
like a Wong Kar-wai thing that he does, right? Like the Buddhist imagery in his movies. Like it's something that always creeps in. Like, and I thought it was like in a way praying. Like speaking into the.
There's a spiritual element.
Yeah, there's a spiritual element, and I was gonna say that's my favorite scene as well, just because I thought it was incredible, and it kind of reminds me of like being a lonely child. When you have no one to play with, and you just you just figure out and just like talk to yourself or something. It's like I grew up like as the only boy. Well, not the only tree, but like you talk to yourself, and like sometimes you have nothing else to do.
You create your own. You create your own world.
Yeah, and when you're sad or you want to like tell someone a secret, because like secrets when you're a kid is like a huge thing.
Oh yeah,
and I felt like it was a very childlike thing, like kind of like holding your eyes closed when you're doing hide and seek or something. It's just you and the world.
Yeah. No, there's. Yeah, both the scenes I had written down have been named already, because I think they are like quite pivotal moments. But just again to say something different, I'll pick another scene that's maybe not my favorite, but I really liked when I think it's Mr. Chow. Mr. Chow. Sorry, I think his name is Chow.
It's Chow.
Yeah, Chow's it made me think of Mr. Plow
Yeah,
from The
Mr.
Simpsons.
Plow.
But Chow, I think it's either his boss or his colleague, the bald-headed guy.
I think I know which
Comes,
scene is this.
yeah, they're having. He comes to the office and I think they're eating, or I think Chow's eating, and he asks for him to loan him some money
Yeah.
because he lost face, as he says,
Yeah.
because he lost all of his money at the tracks. I don't know if it's like the dog races or the horse races, but one of them.
Probably horse.
And
in
they
Hong
have that
Kong.
conversation.
I think they say horse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
big like horse track in
Yes,
Hong
there
Kong.
is. You're right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it would be.
yeah,
It would be
famous.
Hong Kong. Yeah, it would.
And they have, and he talks about how he needs a little bit of money because he wants to go to they call it the whorehouse or the brothel, basically. And then he has this conversation about how he's got a running tab there, and then I think Chow says you can get sex on credit, and it just shows that they're completely differing opinions and positions because you have this one guy who has a very transactional view of sex potentially or romance, or is just has no problem talking about his what he's going through or what
His
he's
peccadillos.
exactly. And then you have Chow
I love that word.
who seems quite like taken aback by by his attitude towards these things, and you know that he comes from a very different cloth.
Yeah.
He's kind of weighed down by these traditional values, and in the end, I think it's what prevents him maybe from, or prevents both him and Mrs. Chan from being together in the end. So I just thought it was a really nice sort of commentary on like these clashing values.
Well, it's the maybe I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's that overarching concept of guanxi, which is like the power of face in Chinese society, and you see it in loads of East Asian, Southeast Asian, even
Singapore,
say all across Asia. From
I mean, it's
like,
honor culture. That's the thing. It's like honor and face. linked
So
together.
like, I mean, I think even now in China, they've like turned it into like a class-based system where you get whatever. But throughout the entire movie, that's what they're running away from. Like, it's not like they're about to get caught or anything. It's just like the overarching feeling of what society is going.
Although the landlady does keep sticking her nose in it, and
that was literally that was what I was about to say.
That's like guanxi. Like
she's like, you're having too much fun. You should spend more time with your husband.
And when Maggie's character hides out in Thingy's apartment like all night because she doesn't want to be seen going back.
I mean,
so people don't think things.
Or like when they say you dress like that to go out for noodles. Making those
in Arabic
comments.
we have the same thing. It's like el nas, and that means the people. It's like, what will they think?
Aib, habibi.
Yeah. So and it's a huge limiting factor in at least in
France.
In,
the
in
opposite.
in society.
In France, they just air their dirty laundry on the streets.
It's like, you have sex, okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
So
you have family affair, whatever.
Infernal.
Hey, Tony Leung.
All right, should we go to favorite performance then?
Yeah, let's do it.
It might be a little bit, again, we might be repeating some of the same
I want to know
answers.
who Raph chooses first.
Yeah, Raph, how about you go first?
So I think the camera is upon first watch, when I first experienced this movie, I thought Tony Leung was just giving me all sorts. So I was like, this guy's a master. He not only was he arousing me, but he also like he was my sexual awakening. No, he was just so utterly subtle and nuanced, and I was like, this man is cinematic brilliance. He is a screen actor through and through. But now it's Maggie Cheung. That's the way this movie goes. That you can have. I saw so much more from her and her dedication to the craft, her glances, her subtlety, her nuance, but also her frailty, her vulnerability, and she gives more for me heart to this film than Tony.
Intricate.
Yeah. I would completely agree. The only thing I would add is that I thought what's really impressive about her performance is that she's one of the characters that's trying to uphold face or uphold or put on a strong face, I suppose, so as to not give away what is happening. Yet she is incredibly vulnerable and fragile at all times, despite her composure. And she is a very, statuesque, composed presence. But you can tell her the fact that she, in particular, is breaking down on the inside because of her grief over over her marriage.
And if I'm not wrong, this is set in 65?
61.
It starts in 61 or 62.
Right. 62, yeah.
And then it
goes through
ends
the
in
years.
65, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah.
With the Independence? No.
No,
No.
that was 90s.
It was
when
Charles de Gaulle
when Charles de Gaulle came.
goes to
Yeah.
Cambodia.
Yeah, Cambodia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was the beginning of the Vietnam
The
War.
yeah,
that's right.
And because I
That's
guess Chow is he's a journalist, isn't he? Or
Yeah.
at least he works for a newspaper. So
Mm.
Yeah, and then goes
went there to
Singapore.
cover it.
And the
Yeah.
Singapore warehouse.
Singapore Daily,
Yeah, Singapore
Yeah.
Daily. Yeah, and I like to add with one of my favorite performance moments from Maggie is "Do you have a mistress?" The kind of role play that she does with Tony Leung, and that's when she kind of breaks down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the scene that was going through my mind when you both were discussing the performance, and particularly Maggie's performance. And I think that point about vulnerability is quite accurate. And I think it's the interplay between the two sides of her character, the kind of, stoic, independence of trying to make best out of a bad situation, but at the same time, the flashes of vulnerability when something just strikes a chord or, pierces. That I think, it's connected to that whole. I mean, it's connected to the whole thing, human feeling, in the sense of sometimes you never know how certain emotions will hit or how certain stimuli will trigger certain emotions to hit in a very specific way. And they, even though they're consciously role playing, this kind of fantasy of exposing their partners and,
or being their partners.
their partners. Yeah, exactly. It's still real. That's the thing. It's still real. Like, when she asks Tony Leung's character, "Are you having a mistress?" She's role playing that moment with her husband, and then when he says yes, the betrayal floods in because, like, I mean, how
else would you react?
else?
Yeah. I guess it's what 50. It's like flipping a coin for this film. Like,
you could just give it to them both.
to them both, because it's hard to pick because they're both very nuanced, intricate performances from either. But like I think for this one, Maggie, right?
Maggie
I'd go
Cheung,
with her. Like,
Max.
I don't know,
4-4.
Oi, Max.
4-4.
Henry.
Yeah, but I don't know. It might be weird to say she has like incredible face control.
Yeah,
Like, like kind of like Thierry Henry with his little lip thing that he does. Like, she's very intricate with movements in her face just to show a split thing in her thought process, or just like a quick thing, like you said, just like a quick change in emotion. And I thought that was amazing. Well, Tony as well, like, he played like just a nice guy, like quite well, like a well upstanding man, like, where he's like, oh, okay, I respect your boundaries. And I guess it doesn't need that sort of intricacy, especially if it's being set in the 60s to the, like, from 61 to 67 or whatever. The gender roles that are being presented, like the way that a woman had to carry themselves and how a man had to carry themselves.
Show less vulnerability on his side because can't quite be displayed because it's 1960.
Yeah, and maybe even East Asian culture. I'm not exactly sure about the time, but I'm just gonna imagine that that's what it's like, because I'm taking Singapore for an example. So yeah, for me it's a toss of the coin. I love both of their performances; they're both great.
Yeah, this film wouldn't work if they didn't. Yeah, if both of them didn't have that kind of chemistry and talent.
And I think, even though I've watched this film a bunch, we talked before about how you discover something new each time you watch it. And what I noticed this time as well, just, pulling back to their two performances, I didn't notice how, in their relationship, they actually liberated each other in different ways, though. Like, particularly with Tony Leung's character, with the martial arts serials.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning he says, "Oh, I always wanted to write one, but then I never could start, so I just gave up because he just didn't have the initiative." But then, weirdly, in having this secret relationship with Maggie Cheung's character, he starts writing one with her, and it's such a small part of it, and kind of feels irrelevant to the larger story.
And
but
she
I
sings as
thought that
well.
was really-
She becomes
yeah.
She releases some.
Have any of you watched La Vie en Rose?
Yes.
It's
Marion.
Marie
yeah, it's
Cotillard,
kind of I don't know. I had vibes of that movie for some reason in
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I've never
Um,
seen it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I love that movie.
Yeah,
It's such a
nice.
romantic movie.
It's also heartbreaking.
It's
as well.
heartbreaking as fuck. Yeah, it would have
Um,
been a good one for this theme.
Yeah.
So, favorite quote?
Oof.
Not in the original Cantonese. We don't know we don't have to do
Yeah.
that.
Boy.
Yeah, I got one. Yeah. And it's been my favorite line from this film. Every time I hear it, it's just tugs at my heartstrings. But it's you notice things if you pay attention.
Yeah.
Just because that's exactly again it represents this represents the film. Like you notice things if you pay attention, and that's exactly what the film is trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Ahmed?
So it was a toss up between two for me. So I'm going to be greedy and say both.
No, we do that. We have honorable mentions.
So one was not necessarily a quote by any of the characters, but it was one of the quotes that transitioned between the parts of the film. So that era has passed. Nothing that belongs to it exists anymore.
Yeah.
Which I think comes towards the end of the film, but I think it's almost like it's essentially the story of the film, in the sense of this was a very specific set of circumstances at a very specific moment in time, and no matter where they find themselves in the future, they could never recapture what happened at that point in time, which I guess speaks to the ephemerality. I can never say this word. Ephemerality of life, in a sense.
The
Ephemera, exactly. So that was one, and then the other one was the dialogue between them, where Maggie Cheung's character says, "Why didn't you call me today?" Chai Mo-wan says, "I'm afraid you wouldn't like it," and then she says, "Then don't call me ever again." So I found that quite interesting, because they're both dancing around what's going on around them, but she's almost kind of like, even though she's the one we see to be a bit more restrained and refined, she's like, I don't want you to be. I want you to just go for it. And if you're trying to seek my approval, then this is
then
I
you
don't
will.
want.
already lost
Yeah,
it.
then you've already lost it, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. No, those are two great picks. I hadn't thought about that. Because this is not a film, like I said at the beginning, this is a film about what's unsaid rather than what's said. So it was hard to pick it. And also, especially if you're not interpreting the film in its native language, like I'm reading the subtitles, I can appreciate the sonic quality of the Cantonese, which I actually, I think sounds quite lovely in this film. But I'm just reading the subtitles, so you can't really meet it at completely at face value. But this is not a line that I think on its own sounds pretty, but I think it captures a lot of what the story's about, which is Mrs. Su, the landlady. She says at several points, "You're too polite." And it's ironic, because she's that overbearing presence of societal expectations or judgment
and pressure
that keeps them that forces them out into the nighttime streets in order to carry on their business, and also makes them often stick in their rooms, because they're so they feel so overwhelmed when they're around the landlady and all the other neighbors.
Surveyed.
So she's like, but then she says, "You're too polite," and that is true, that they are too polite. Like, at least if they wanted to be happy with one another, or explore where this goes, or confront their spouses who are cheating on them, then they should overcome that politeness. But it's coming from a figure who is kind of setting the rules that dictate their restrictive society. So I thought it was really interesting that it came up several times.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with hello, mic check 1 2. Holy shit, did it just fucking okay, now it's working. I'm gonna go with, I guess it's not really a quote, I guess, but it's the last slide before it says end, and it's where is it? That era has passed. Nothing that belongs to it.
That's what Ahmed said.
Is that what you just
Yeah,
said?
I said that. It was between two for me.
Okay, well then it's not.
There we go.
I'm
Save
sorry,
time.
man. I'm sorry.
We save time.
We save time.
I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I said from the beginning that I didn't actually listen to this movie, so finding a quote was like
It was
kind of
hard.
pointless.
Yeah. And again, it's not what about but said, and so it's what about but what's seen. So
Yeah, exactly.
Great minds, dude. Great minds.
Yeah.
But I was also gonna go for that. Your favorite scene. Well, the honorable mention that you chose, where they were like talking about the betting, and then I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that actor was funny, the bald guy. As well.
Upping.
And like him trying to deliver that news as well, that he saw his wife walking around with another man, because you can see the complicated emotions he's going through, where it's like he's like, I feel duty bound to tell you, but also I can't really push this and say out loud what we both know to be true in this instance, because that's gonna humiliate you. Anyway, armchair moment. Okay, I'll just say up front, I don't really have anything that I would change about this movie. Sometimes I wonder, it's made in such an elliptical style. I wonder if they could have made things a little bit more clear, perhaps, in terms of how things came to pass. But then again, I think if you change anything about this movie, it might disrupt and sort of unspool everything that is so special and unknowable about it. So I can't think of anything.
I've got nothing.
I'm gonna use this opportunity to say you have to watch this movie, I think, minimum 3 times or something like that.
That's the rule.
Because you won't get much from the first viewing. At least
you
I
have
didn't.
to be in the mood for love.
It's
Hey, that's the title of the movie.
No, but I think that's true. I think it's very difficult to get an idea of get a sense of its flaws, really, because it's quite complicated as a film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck, so I was still laughing at that.
Introduce a little bit of levity into this episode.
Yeah. So serious.
All right, well, okay. If we want to have a couple of chuckles, do you want to hear my dumbass mystery question?
Let's do it.
Go on.
Let's go.
Go on.
Okay, I have 2 actually. So there'll be a funny one and then maybe a serious one if we have time. If we have time.
No, we got time.
Okay, yeah. So I mentioned the martial arts serials. So yeah, it's really hard to think of questions for this movie because it's kind of a very serious, plaintive film.
Yeah.
But if you wrote a martial arts serial, what would be the name of it?
Ooh.
Because they mentioned the Drunken Master at one point, and these
these
kung fu movies are always like the Drunken Master and the 7 Blades of Shaolin Monkey.
Yeah,
Shaolin Monkey.
So if you could come up with one, or you could make it your own.
Well, has anyone seen the RZA? Kung fu movie. I've never seen it.
That was terrible.
The man with the iron fist.
Is it
I think
bad?
I've seen it.
I watched it in university. It was pretty.
It's got a good soundtrack though, as you'd expect.
I got one. Dragon Warrior: The Hidden Truth.
Ooh,
nice.
Where is it hidden?
Deep, man.
Huh?
Where is it hidden?
Dude, I don't know. In some dragon. He's got to fight his way through, man. But it's not about. Actually, it's not about kung fu. It's about a personal journey of sexual awakening.
Brokeback Mountain in a monastery.
My martial
with
arts,
a bit of kung fu.
My martial arts serial would be called Postman Pat and his black and white cat. But with kung fu.
That beat was everything.
Postman Pat. Anyway,
very good.
Anyone else got anything to offer?
Does anyone want to go? I mean, Ahmed. I have one.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go last.
Mr. Nobody.
Like the I feel like that
like
you might be competing with a
kind of like
film.
a Kurosawa thing, the nameless,
the
nameless man walking into the town, taking on the baddies.
Yeah.
I like it.
Like it.
If anybody's seen the video game Sifu.
Oh,
heard
dude,
of
I
it?
need to play that game.
Yeah,
God
kind of
damn.
along those lines.
Interesting.
Oh, sick.
I've got a name actually now.
Yeah.
1,000 Flailing Fists.
Oh, I like that. Flailing. He's not in control necessarily.
That is a great point.
Guys, let's get workshopping these serials. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, those are not pornos? They're serials?
Well, mine's about jacking off. But
Okay, I have a question.
Oh, this is a room full of boys right now.
Okay, no, I have a question. Has anyone seen that let's make our social media Wes Anderson, and then people are doing
that
sure.
TikTok thing.
Yeah.
What do you think Wong Kar-wai's version of that would be?
A lot of the same song being played over and over again.
I did love that
slow
song.
motion
Slow
music.
motion music. The that effect that he has, the time lapse effects.
Yeah, the time. Yeah, they use the
that is used
Express.
in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
The colors, the color red.
Yeah, a lot of vibrant
Do
colors.
you think it would be easy
vibrant
to do
colors.
just like with a phone?
A lot of good food as well.
easy-
Yeah. A lot of
I don't know
appealing
if you
food.
could recreate what he does with these films on a phone.
Because it seems like Wes Anderson.
Well, it's an
recreated Wes
aesthetic,
Anderson.
isn't
Yeah,
it? That's the thing.
aesthetic,
It's
yeah.
an aesthetic. Yeah, it's an aesthetic.
Like, I mean, could you say there is a Wong? What's his name?
Wong Kar-wai.
Wong Kar-wai,
Yeah.
and Wong Kar-wai aesthetic that is easily
I
reproducible.
I think so.
I think
Yeah,
time-lapse
I think so.
photography
Yeah,
is
time-lapse
one.
photography.
But I think it's weird because actually, In the Mood for Love looks quite different to some of his
The
preceding films
Chunkin or
because,
to 2346.
he used two different cinematographers
Mm.
because the production process took so long. There's
Right.
Christopher Doyle, he usually worked with
Mhm.
on films like Chungking Express or Ashes of Time, or
2046.
Yep. Then he worked with Mark Lee Ping Bing. Oh God. Just call him Mark. I
Just
don't
call him
remember his
Mark.
full
Yeah,
name.
let's call him
Mark.
Who worked a lot on the Ho Xiao
Oh,
Xian
hi, Mark.
films, which are very still compositions largely. And so I think you could feel those two different influences brushing up against each other here.
So it didn't have purely his cinematic style. Let's
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm, mm, mm.
All right. Well,
Yeah, right, great. Let's go to ratings then,
Ratings.
shall we? I'll just go first.
Yeah,
I'm
go
gonna give this
first.
10 out of 10 cheap owls. I'm not objective about this film though. Like it's been a long love affair for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a spiritual connection with this film. I will give it 10 noodle Tupperware out of 10.
Nice. Oh, the little like
It's like a tea
like
thing.
portable.
The Taobao.
Yeah, it's
Portable.
like a thermos.
Yeah.
But you
It
can
looks so
store your
stylish when Maggie Cheung's carrying it.
Yeah.
I think it's called a
Yes.
Taobao something. I can't remember
Yeah.
exactly what it's called.
But that'd
It
be
has a
so good to
specific
go to
name.
like a noodle
and
shop with your
it's-
own carrying.
That's why I want
When you
noodles.
get it on in the plastic Tupperware, it's always like lukewarm by the time you get home. I
Yeah.
hate that.
And it's just so
Mm.
aesthetic. Like it looks so, and
Yeah,
it looks so
yeah.
like it like
it's
really
sustainable.
keeps your it looks
Yeah.
it's sustainable. It's eco-friendly. There we go.
Boom, boom. Me, I think at this stage, given I've watched it exactly once,
Sure.
for me, I think I'm at the 7 out of 10 place.
Mm-hmm.
I need to rewatch it. I need
Yeah.
to get more of a sense of the film and kind of, drill down to the details.
Mm.
I think it was interesting. I did find it, I did find it interesting to watch, and I like we talked about, the cinematography is really intriguing. The music, the kind of dream-like atmosphere. I think it interested me, but I need to watch it at least once or twice more
Yeah.
for
For
it to
sure.
sink in.
Mm.
For sure.
No, understood.
Do you have a particular totem you want to use for the rating from the film?
A
or
totem.
Oh, did I not explain this to you?
No.
My bad. So you notice how I said 10 cheap owls out of 10, and he said 10
noodle Tupperware.
noodle Tupperwares out of 10.
Okay.
So
You
we
gotta
usually
find,
take
like,
a little
something random.
totem from the movie and
Okay.
use that as the
Like
the
Maggie's
unit for our school.
Yeah, Maggie's dresses.
Well, I said cheap owls.
Oh yeah, so
Mm.
there we go. Yeah.
7 cigarettes out of 10.
Hey,
Yeah,
there we
nice.
go. 7 Tony Leung smoking cigarettes.
yeah,
but Not just
exactly.
any cigarette.
Yeah, I'm the same line, like along the same lines as him. Subject to increase. At the moment, it's 7.5 out of 10. Just because I feel like there's so much more to unpack, and
Yeah.
I just can't give
It's
it.
layered.
Yeah,
Go,
like I know I like the
go
movie.
see this at Prince Charles if
Yeah,
you get the
go see it.
chance.
It's coming out-
It plays there every
Yeah.
couple of weeks, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's so popular. With
I mean,
hipster
I saw
audiences.
for this month. It's while I'm away, so
Yeah,
It plays
It's something.
throughout the
It's
year.
something you need to
It's
witness
something
in the
that-
cinema. For
yeah,
sure.
for sure, definitely. So 7.5. Losing face. ID waving outside the whorehouse. Out of 10.
Wow,
Yeah.
damn.
Elaborate.
Yeah.
Very elaborate. Script.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the one. And I guess we can finish it here. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
thank
Ahmed, for being
you.
here.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank
Pleasure,
you.
guys. Thank you for having me.
It was great.
Please come back on.
What a
Anytime.
pleasure.
Do you want to plug
Anytime.
anything? You want to shout out anything?
I mean, shout out to you guys.
Hey, that's
obviously,
the second
you know.
time.
the first time.
The first
First
time.
time, you stupid motherfucker.
I mean, this is the last episode of the season, right?
No,
No,
the
this is
second.
actually the second.
The second.
Second. Okay.
Yeah.
So what number are we up to now?
We're at 89.
89.
89.
89.
Wine and dine.
Wine and dine. 89.
I mean, that milestone, that 100 is coming up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. We're gonna have
Big
to do
boy.
something special.
Then
for
I
it.
quit.
You should do a live
we'll
podcast
Well,
recording.
that's what I've been trying to say, or like,
Yeah.
anyways. Like a live stream or something.
with all the guests we've ever had.
Oh shit,
Yeah.
we're nearing the point. Well, just in case we don't get shut
get
down by
shut
Pirate
down.
Camden again.
Bloody pirates.
Yeah, fucking pirates. Perfect. Thank you for listening. This was... Fuck, what am I doing right now?
So give us a like, a share, a subscribe. You know what to do. Follow us on Twitter. We're not on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram, on Spotify. You know what to do.
Snapchat.
And just stay beautiful. All right. Ciao for now.
My people.